And I think that's one to ask the government. I mean, they're completely, from my side, they're completely incompetent in terms of processing these claims. I mean, it's not something new. We shouldn't have the backlog that we've got. Not only does it cost the country millions of pounds, it actually harms the genuine asylum seekers whose lives are in limbo. So why that number is so high is that, simply put, that the government is incompetent in terms of bringing it down. There's no reason it should be that high.
But David, we've heard that the government are doing everything they can to speed up the process, including shortening interviews and perhaps not being as rigorous as they could be. One worry from the public is that if you speed up the claims process too quickly, what you have is essentially a little bit of an amnesty. You're waving through claims quicker than you should be.
I mean, I think from what you've described, Emily, and from what I've read in the report today, that's what I would describe as cooking the books, and I think that's what the Conservative parties are doing in relation to the asylum figures, because changing the way that you calculate whether someone is on a list or taken off a list, that's cooking the books, and that's essentially what they're doing. They're taking the British people for fools. The people are still there. They're just changing the way that they're viewing these figures, and that is and I think anyone that's read this committee report will clearly see that that's what the government is doing. Not only are they not protecting us, the Brits, in terms of the people they're letting in, they're not protecting the genuine asylum seekers either. And the report that I read today is very damning. It's a catastrophe for their policy.
Rebecca, let's bring you in there, because what David is saying is that both the British people are feeling like let down, but also those seeking asylum, those genuinely seeking asylum, are getting a rough time too.
It's a fair point to make, but I think that we can all call this for exactly what it is. Rishi Sunak is completely incompetent, and actually what he has done with everything. I don't actually know one thing of where he's actually following through on all of these claims that he wants to make. He made a very big and outlandish claim that we will clear this backlog by the end of the year. You've still got 55,000 applications to go. Why are you not in front of us trying to tell us why you've got such a problem with this and why you aren't delivering on your so-called promises that you try and make? Shortening the interviews is absolutely appalling, because we are one of the only countries to have the worst process that there is. We have no security measures in place. As much of an interview that they get is to sit down with a social worker, and they can tell them that they're absolutely anybody, and they are expected to believe them. This is a national security threat for us all. And there's one point actually that I wanted to pick up on, Tom, that you just related to actually when you were introducing us. Did you know that in 2004 we rejected 89%? Hang on, let me get it 100% correct. Yes, 89% were rejected. And now we approve 88% of applications. You cannot just wave through these applications because you want to clear a backlog. You have to do what's in the best interest of the people in this country. And that's not it.
David, is that true, the statistics that Rebecca Jane has just mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that sounds familiar to me, and I'd agree with Rebecca on that. And if you imagine, if you're an asylum seeker and you're trying to put forward your case of grave human rights abuses, you can't do that on a piece of paper in a questionnaire. You can't do that in a few minutes in an interview. You need to be detailed investigation of that, and that's something that, again, like I said,
David, sorry to interrupt, but it was back in February it was reported that asylum seekers will be given the right to live in the UK without having face-to-face interviews to check their claims. This was to reduce the backlog of cases. Many people describe this as essentially being an amnesty for people from a selection of countries. 5 countries were cited: Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, Eritrea and Yemen, to fast-track these claims. Surely that is not the right way of doing it. Just because you've got a very, very long backlog does not mean you should be waving through applications, not least for national security reasons.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, it's not, that's not what, that's essentially opening the gates. At the end of the day, we need to have genuine asylum seekers. We don't have the capacity to have everyone in the country. We need the genuine ones in that genuinely need our help. We can't just open the gates and let everybody in. And that's not the way to do it, because that's not clearing a backlog. That's just letting everyone in. And like I said, genuine asylum seekers, and there are many genuine asylum seekers, need to be able to present their cases in a proper manner. Waving them through a short questionnaire or short interview isn't going to enable us to decide whether or not they are genuine.
So, Rebecca, what is your answer to this? Because, of course, we're seeing lots and lots of countries face a huge number of asylum applications. We were talking just about France, which has had 50% more applications than the UK. But, of course, they approve a far smaller proportion of those applications. My question to you, Rebecca, Jane, is the number that apply actually the issue, or is it simply the way that we process them that is?
I think the issue is that, like you said, Britain is a soft touch, so it's the easiest solution of all, especially when they get the benefits and the healthcare that we deliver. So none of this is a solution. The only solution, and actually I liked a lot of what the viewers have been saying, find out where they've come from. If that's a safe country, go back there. It's their problem. We can't take the responsibility of the whole world on our shoulders. We need a hard border in the sea. We need to stop giving all of our money to France, for goodness sakes, that's an absolute joke of a situation of somebody that hasn't even delivered on the job that they're supposed to do, and we give them more money. That has to stop. We have to get tough. We have to send out a message to the world. If you are a genuine asylum seeker who's genuinely fleeing persecution, we are a supportive and welcoming nation. But right now, we have to close our doors. In my personal opinion, it's not quite a UKIP policy, but I think it should be. I think that we have to have a stop on this for 5 years, because our country is broken, our country is full, and whilst we carry on talking about this, and obviously we get it all the time, you're racist, blah, blah, blah. No, we're not. This is about space. It's not about race. We're full. We can't cope. NHS is broken. Policing is broken. Our backlog system is even broken, for goodness sakes. Close the doors, send them back to
Rebecca, I suppose there'd be many people who say to that we do have big labour shortages in this country. There are big not waiting lists, but recruitment lists for people to work, particularly in low-skilled jobs. Let's throw this over to David. Are we full?
I think, we've got at the current, and this is the problem that we have. We have laws, and they're our own laws, and they're the laws from Europe that we and our previous governments entered into. So until we change those laws, we have to accept that, we have to go through the process of accepting the asylum seekers in accordance with the laws that we previously signed up to. So that's one of the problems that you've got. And then, of course, you've got the complete failure of the government to deal with the process, to do things quickly, to do things efficiently or cost effectively. It's a complete and utter chaotic mess. And all we're seeing from Sunak and his government is spin and as we saw this morning, more sleaze, but no actual action. It's, every day there's another migration catastrophe in terms of the headlines, and nothing's been done. And at the end of the day, there's real humans, both here in England, that are suffering because of the asylum process and the asylum seekers. So it's a no-win.
Mm-hmm. David, you're a human rights lawyer, so you'll know about this more than most. Should we be giving the right to appeal for most asylum seekers? Because one of the points that is made by the Public Accounts Committee is that even if you hasten the speed at which we clear the backlog, that will lead to a backlog in our court system. We know that the courts are under a lot of stress at the moment, a lot of pressure. Do you think perhaps, the court system's getting too clogged up with these kind of cases?
I think we should have the right of appeal, but what I think we should do first is make the actual first judgment of that application stronger, more detailed, and so that there's less likely to be routes for appeal at the next stage. So have a proper process at the beginning, a detailed one, but a fast one, and then that as well. And if there are genuine reasons for appeal, look at that. But the problem is that if we're just waving people through or refusing people and not really looking at their cases, of course there's going to be lots and lots and lots of causes for appeal. And again, part of the problem.
Well, let's turn a final word now to Rebecca and close this debate, because I suppose there will be some who say that it's not about a moratorium, it's not about the numbers, it is about that processing.
It is about, I really like actually what David said there, because the problem why we're getting so many appeals is because there is no decent process in place in the first case. You know, having that conversation with a social worker or not having a conversation, of course that they're going to have a heck of a lot of grounds for appeal. You have to sort it out. Do you know the way that we first start to sort it out? The Conservative Party put their hands up and go, guess what, guys? We got it wrong. We're really sorry. And here is what we're going to do. And actually get tough on immigration. Not keep on giving us all of these nonsensical sound bites because they want votes in the next general election.